All right, everyone, welcome back to NFL Picks with McLovin, Fantasy Football, whatever the hell we call this show. It is Wild Card Weekend, and a lot of shit went down Week 17, so let's get right on into it. Doug Baldwin defends Darrell Bevell, the offensive coordinator. Offensive issues are, quote, on us as players. Although Doug Baldwin wouldn't name the issues he thinks plagued the Seahawks offense this season, he did say the fault lies with the players.
Well, those are the people who execute. It's on the players to take the play call and actually figure out what they need to do in order to move the ball and eventually score enough points to win the game. Seattle, Bevell's been there for quite a while. He's been to 2 Super Bowls, won 1 Super Bowl. I think he knows what he's doing. You know, he's a good coordinator. He's really made Russell Wilson. You know, he does whatever he needs to do and to make Russell Wilson a top 7-8 quarterback in the league. So I think he's doing a good job. But at the end of the day, the losses, the not scoring enough points, that does fall on the coordinator. It's nice that Baldwin will come out and say that, but at the end of the day, it's still the coordinator's responsibility to score the points.
All right, the Dolphins coach says Landry brawl was, quote, embarrassing. Jarvis Landry's return to the Miami Dolphins in 2018 looked a little less likely Wednesday after Coach Adam Gase, your boy, delivered a stinging critique of the excitable receiver's behavior in the season finale. Excitable receiver.
I didn't see what happened, but if it, something like that, that's more out of frustration and for a terrible year and what they've gone through down in Miami. Jarvis Landry's got a boatload of talent. I have to believe that he will return because of his talent, but at the same time that doesn't help his situation. If they don't re-sign him, then he'll end up on someone else's team.
Packers GM interviews to start with in-house trio. Russ Ball, Brian Gutekunst, I don't know if I spelled that or pronounced that right, and Elliott Wolf will be the first to interview for the Packers GM job, and if one were hired, the others might leave.
Say it again, I was reading something else.
Packers, thanks, we're filming a show here. Packers
GM...
it's
about work tomorrow.
Oh, what is it about work tomorrow? Right. What does it say? The stuff I already told you?
Due to the weather, do not have to be in until 10:15.
Yeah,
also, we only need the top 4, so please correct me if I'm wrong. I believe that is Mark, Johnny, Carroll, and Kendall. So that doesn't include me.
That's incorrect, but that's okay.
So Packers GM. It did affect, yeah. Okay.
I did that last part, yeah.
Yeah.
So I'll text. Who texted? Was that Dion?
No, it was Slim.
All right. Packers GM interviews to start with in-house trio. Russ Ball, Brian Gutekunst, and Elliott Wolf will be the first to interview for the Packers GM job, and if one were hired, the others might leave.
Yeah, they weren't happy with the way everything shaked out this year.
Actually, it might be correct. I think that is correct.
No, I'll tell you what. I know it's the top 4.
What is it those 4? Tuck's definitely last. Tuck's definitely last.
I'm 5th.
So you are 5th. Okay.
Yeah, so
all right, it was correct.
But still, I'm picking up Johnny. So.
All right, third time's a charm. Packers GM interviews to start with in-house. That was my fault that time. In-house trio: Russ Ball, Brian Gutekunst, and Elliott Wolf.
A show right now.
Will be the first to interview for the Packers GM job, and if one were hired, the others might leave.
This year with Green Bay was, the last couple of years, they haven't been as successful as they've wanted to. And the fact of the matter is that the whole the way the Packers are run is by a community, and they were very unhappy with their output the last couple of years. Ted Thompson, who is a legendary part of that Green Bay program, no longer is GM, and whoever they go out and get, needs to do a better job as far as putting the people on the field that need to get the job done. Now, this is a team who has suffered many injuries over the past couple of years. One major here this year to Favre, but at the same time, this is a team that should have been in a couple more Super Bowls than they actually were. With all that being said, whoever the GM is, it still has a lot of great talent to work with, and they just need to do a better job at getting an offensive line that consistently protects Rodgers. continuing to have talent surrounded him, but as far as getting, a better, more consistent defense is really where they need to go.
So the Vikings, Sam Bradford's, quote, happy to be back at practice. He's been, for the first time since before he re-injured his knee against the Bears in Week 5. Bradford believed this week was, quote, the right time for his return given the timetable decided on. I don't know if it matters because Keenum's starting, so.
Yeah, Keenum's had an unbelievable year. People were, I don't know if they were serious, but MVP talks. But Minnesota, the fact that Case Keenum really stepped up this year really was the actual main factor for this year. Their defense was tremendous as always, but Case Keenum really took them to another level. Now Case Keenum's really going to have to, now that the season's over. Now everyone's at 0-0, so we'll see what he's able to do in the playoffs. But with that being said, God forbid something happens to him, they still have Sam Bradford, who has had some success in Minnesota as a starter with that big trade, from Philadelphia 2 years ago. And, going forward, I think they have a lot of offensive talent at the wide receiver position and at the running back position. And the defense is their defense. So they have a bye, in the first round of the playoffs. And I think they're going to be a tough team to beat. The only road game they have to play is if they go to Philadelphia for the NFC Championship game. And that's going to be a huge game if that actually happens.
So the sources say Cowboys begin their coaching changes. The Dallas Cowboys have begun to make changes to their coaching staff, including letting special teams coordinator, I'm going to botch his name, Rich Bisaccia, B-I-S-A-C-C-I, I have no idea, leave, presumably to join the Oakland Raiders, according to sources.
Well, this is the time of the year where not only have coaches, we all these coaches have been fired. I think there's seven openings.
We'll probably get to them in the
and with that being said, a lot of coaches, have expirations on their contracts, and usually if a coach's contract gets expired, it means that he's no longer, and the writing's on the wall that he's no longer wanted there. And there's a coaching carousel, which I used to do when I was in San Francisco, was updating every team with every coach and every position coach and all the, 1 through however many coaches they had. And this is usually when it starts. A lot of these coaches are going to be in limbo because when a new head coach takes over, he brings all of his coaches. The coaches on that current team then have to go out and find a job, but usually there's very rarely does every coach, not find a job. It's just going to be with a different team somewhere.
All right, Marvin Lewis got signed to a 2-year extension, by the way, till 2019. But his assistant head coach is gone, but he's coming back for a 16th try to playoff victory. And he says he's going to Bengals will, quote, start from scratch.
Wow. I thought we read something that 2 weeks ago that said that he was stepping down, and then they give him a 2-year extension. I think at some point in time they're going to have to move on from Marvin Lewis and get a coach in there. They know what Marvin Lewis is. He's going to be a decent head coach, that's going to, get him close to the division, maybe win a division, but in the playoffs he's 0 for a million. So I'm not a big Marvin Lewis fan as far as the head coach goes, but obviously Cincinnati does not like change, and they want him to still be there.
Steelers confident Brown will be ready to play. Steelers wide receiver Antonio Brown has been nursing a torn calf, suffered in Week 15, but his teammates believe he'll be good to go when Pittsburgh plays his first postseason game next weekend.
Well, they're going to need him. He messed up that calf against New England a couple weeks ago. I think that if everything goes to plan, and Pittsburgh's going to have to go through New England, and they're definitely going to need Antonio Brown, who's the best receiver in the NFL, to show up and be healthy and play. And he could be a difference maker. As far as the game that they have to play prior to that, if everything goes as planned, they'll be playing Jacksonville at home, and they'll need him against Jacksonville. So I think that extra weeks of rest definitely have helped him, and we'll see how effective he is when he plays, the next time he plays.
Broncos and the Texans staffs to coach in Senior Bowl. The Denver Broncos staff will coach at the Senior Bowl later this month, where the coaches will get an up-close look at Oklahoma's Baker Mayfield, who was one of the college quarterbacks sure to be on their radar as they prepare for the NFL Draft. And the Broncos especially, quote, jumped at the opportunity to coach in the Senior Bowl. Coming off a disappointing season, the Denver staff welcomes a chance to get an up-close and personal look at some top prospects in the 2018 draft.
Yeah, we did this 3 straight years with the Niners when Mike Nolan was the head coach and Scott McCloughan was our general manager. It really is. It's a week with guys that are going to get drafted, and it's hands-on. It's learning how they are, who they are, what type of players they are, what type of competitors they are. It's in Mobile, Alabama, which is, if you've ever been to Mobile, Alabama, it's still 1984 in Mobile, Alabama. As far as the infrastructure that goes down there, it's a nightmare. They have all their trailers. They put their trailers at the Mobile Stadium where they do the practices in the game. They do that for a week, and everyone comes out. It's like another, Alabama football game. With that being said, a lot of young coaches and a lot of young teams and love to jump at the opportunity to get to coach this thing. And I think it definitely helps out as far as the draft process goes to get another a better look at these guys. So I think it's definitely effective for any team that coaches a Senior Bowl.
All right, well, we briefly talked about this, but Lewis plans on making changes in the Bengals organization. Marvin Lewis says the Bengals need to be better and that they will have to make staff and personnel changes to get where they need to be. Drew Brees is, quote, feeling energized after being home for a funeral. He feels, quote, energized since returning from a trip home to Texas for his grandfather's funeral. And then Packers offensive coordinator out as overhaul continues. The impact of starting quarterback Aaron Rodgers appearing in only 7 games has led to offensive coordinator Edgar Bennett and quarterbacks coach Alex Van Pelt not returning next season, according to sources.
Yeah, everyone pretty much is they're turning over a leaf there in Green Bay. I think they need to. I think they need some fresh blood in there. And, I think there's going to be a lot of changes in Green Bay, from top to bottom.
Seahawks signed kicker Jason Myers, a potential replacement for Blair Walsh. Jason Myers made 11 of 15 field goals this season and won 64 of 79, 81% over 38 games with the Jaguars.
The Jaguars cut him?
Guess so.
Oh, really? Wow.
Look at this. Well, here's a wow for you. Dolphins to turn to Logains as offensive coordinator, source says. Dowell Logains, who had been serving as the offensive coordinator for Chicago, will take over in the same capacity for the Dolphins under Adam Gase, a source told ESPN's Adam Schefter.
Well, it must have been the guy that Gase has wanted and couldn't get him, and now he's got him. So I know Gase was with Chicago for a year in between Denver and then taking the head coaching job with Miami, so he must have got to know him back when he was with Chicago.
Le'Veon Bell, motivated by unfinished business, hopes Steelers are at full strength. Still left with a bitter taste from last year, running back Le'Veon Bell says he's eager to see what a full-strength Steelers team can do in the playoffs.
Yeah, I don't know if they're actually going to be full strength, but, they're definitely a powerhouse of an offense. Their defense is really the question mark for that Steelers team. Really, I don't see how it's not, Pittsburgh and New England, and I know how those two teams feel about each other, so we'll see what happens, and hopefully, New England will come out on top again.
One of the Broncos' biggest offseason questions, what happens to Paxton Lynch? The Broncos still haven't seen enough from 2016 first-round pick Paxton Lynch to definitively make him part of their permanent plans.
Well, with all things being said, I mean, they have 3 quarterbacks there, and, none of them are consistent, and I don't know. I think you're gonna have to keep him there and still let him have a shot until someone actually takes that team over as far as the quarterback goes. But they drafted Paxton Lynch pretty high and really hasn't done much to warrant a draft pick that high. So only time will tell as far as what Denver does. Jeremy
Maclin is a prime candidate to get cut by cap challenge Ravens. The wideout turned in career lows in catches and receiving yards in his first season in Baltimore, and he is due a $1 million roster bonus on March 16th.
He was their only really threat as far as having a Pro Bowler type guy like Macklin on that Ravens team, who struggled at times to score points. He had a terrible year, and if he's owed a lot of money, they're going to really think hard about whether they want to re-sign him for another term. But if he does get released, someone will pick him up, probably at the league minimum.
Success with the Vikings' head coach experience can make Pat Shurmur attractive to Lions. One of the few Lions candidates with a background in offense also has experience as a head coach and both ties to Michigan. Obviously, we know that Jim Caldwell got fired. Martha and her 90-year-old you-know-what said enough's enough with this stench and wanted Pat Shurmur to come in. We'll see. Colts coaching search, Steve Wilks is about, quote, accountability and blitzing. Steve Wilks moved up the coaching ranks with his brand of aggressive defense and honest evaluation, making him a candidate to be the Colts head coach. Obviously, rumors are now that the Colts are going right after Josh McDaniels, so we will see what happens with that. Benchings illustrate dysfunction of Giants season. Chiefs could do worse than Tyreek Hill for a new kickoff returner. By the numbers, Jimmy Garoppolo made 49ers better at everything.
Oh, yeah.
Not even close. Harbaugh keeps Marty Morhenweg, as it sounds like something out of Harry Potter, as Ravens offensive coordinator. Marty Morhenweg is returning as the Ravens offensive coordinator despite the team's offense ranking among the worst in the NFL. Any comments on that?
Marty Morningweg's he's been in the league forever. I think for what Baltimore plans on what their offensive schemes are, I think he is a good fit there. I know he works well with Flacco. I think in order for Baltimore to be more consistent, they need a consistent running back, and they need to find more consistent playmakers for Flacco to throw to.
Eagles quarterback Nick Foles using bye week to, quote, re-energize. With time to rest and reflect, Nick Foles said he has taken, quote, a great step forward in being ready for Philadelphia's divisional game next week.
Well, he's going to have to play a lot better, overall than he did at the end of the season. Nick Foles has a lot of talent. I think the Eagles did a good job of making him the backup quarterback, because a lot of 90% of the backups in the NFL couldn't be as effective as Nick Foles has. He's a Pro Bowl quarterback. He's been Pro Bowl. 1 year, I think it was Chip Kelly's first year, he had like 27 touchdowns and 2 interceptions or something like that.
Yeah, the best rating ever or something.
And he had 7 touchdowns in 1 game. So I think Nick Foles is a good quarterback, and I think, in the grand scheme of things, it's almost, better that Wentz went down when he did, so it's given Foles, whatever his name is, 3 or 4 games to get his feet wet and then right into the playoffs. So, but Philly's there's 6 good teams in the NFC, so all teams that Philly can beat and all teams that can beat Philly. So, only time will tell.
Marvin Lewis knows Andy Dalton must improve, and he's keeping offensive coordinator Bill Lazor, but he's moving on from longtime offensive line coach Paul Alexander.
Well, Lazor, I believe, was made offensive coordinator in week 2 and week 3,
yeah.
And he has, I think that Cincinnati, some games they were nothing, they didn't score any points, and in some games they put up 30 or 40. So the inconsistency is something that I would look at. But Andy Dalton is still a quarterback that's in probably a top 15, top 17 if you go through the whole list. And he still has a great relationship with AJ Green, who's a top 5 receiver in the league. So I think they're going to do their best to keep that group together and see what they can do as far as improving the other aspects of their team and mainly become more consistent. Don't turn the ball over, don't make stupid penalties. But that's really been Marvin Lewis's MO for however long he's been in the league, coaching there, 17 years or 18 years or whatever it is. So we'll see what happens. I think Cincinnati is still going to be Cincinnati. I still think that Baltimore has always been a better team. Pittsburgh's always been a better team. Cleveland's Cleveland, so yeah, I think they'll be right there is in the third place consistently. That's what they've done over the past however many years they've been, with Marvin Lewis.
Bears fly to Minnesota to meet Pat Shurmur and George Edwards. Another option would be Philadelphia quarterbacks coach John DeFilippo, whom Chicago would hope could mold Mitchell Trubisky as he has Carson Wentz. Because, as we all know, John Fox got fired.
Yeah, well, a lot of these guys at interview for head coaching jobs don't really have a shot. They just do it for the experience, like Matt Patricia has done in the past couple of years. He never really had a shot at getting a job. He just wanted to, he wanted to do some practice for a year like this. As far as Indianapolis goes and Chicago goes, obviously the top pick out there for everybody would be McDaniels. I still think McDaniels is going to the Giants, if I had to guess. As far as, Patricia, I could see Patricia going to Arizona. That'd be my guess for him. Chicago, Indianapolis, we'll see. I know at Indianapolis you got a top flight quarterback, but at the same time you don't know where his health stands. And Chicago, is a rough job just because, well, you have great ownership and you have great fans. But as far as getting that team back to where they want to be, it's going to be a haul. So these jobs will continue to get filled. Usually after the first guy gets filled, then you see the domino effect coming down and just wanting to get someone in there that's on their list.
Are Ravens waiting on Chuck Pagano to accept defensive coordinator job? The Ravens' defense performed well in 2017, and head coach John Harbaugh said the priority for his next defensive coordinator hire is continuity. Because, as we all know, Chuck Pagano got fired!
Well, Dean Pease, who was a former defensive coordinator with New England a while back, was retired. He did a really good job there in Baltimore. I think Pagano is a good defensive coach. I don't think he's a head coach. But with that being said, if they get their hands on a guy like Pagano, I think that'd be a smart move. Then Baltimore would have, a good head coach and two good coordinators, and that's where it all starts.
Mike McCarthy, it's all about, quote, fit, which he is not. Neither am I. Between coach and Packers' next GM. Packers coach Mike McCarthy used the word, quote, fit 8 times Thursday when he discussed working for a new general manager.
I think over the years, McCarthy's been there now. I think he went there in 2006. So 12 years. Wow, that's I can't believe he's been there for that long. And like I said, he's only worked with one GM and Ted Thompson. And Thompson has he's he should be somewhere in the Hall of Fame as far as being with Green Bay Packers for what he's done. With that being said, he keeps on using the word fit, meaning that there must have been a lot of disagreements between his philosophy and Coach McCarthy's philosophy. So, I don't know how much control and power this general manager is going to have if they're allowing the head coach to make comments. So they'll find the right guy, and like I said, I still think Green Bay's in a good situation. They still have a lot of talent. They still, have Rodgers coming back, not as healthy as he's been in the past, but at the same time, with the shoulder, he'll be able to recruit and be ready for camp. I think they got Montgomery back there as a running back. They still have Devontae Adams and whatever Jordy Nelson wants to be if he can stay healthy. He's a top guy in the league. I just think they need to become more consistent with the offensive line and the defense, and I think people will be fighting over that GM job. But whoever they get, I'm sure will be they're going to have to have McCarthy sign off on it, from what it sounds like.
Yeah. Now there's an interesting article here. Okay, you ready for this? This is very, 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 very interesting. Let's take a look at it. I just don't want to lose my.
Did you look at it?
I did look at it. I finally looked at it. So, ready for this?
Yep.
I saw this the other day. Here we go. As soon as it loads. Here we go. All right, so how sports changed in the 9,456,727 minutes since Bills' last playoff game. This is written by Mike Rodak, who's an ESPN staff writer. This was written yesterday. A lot has happened since the Buffalo Bills last made the NFL playoffs after the 1999 season. From the Music City Miracle that crushed the Bills on January 8th, 2000, to Andy Dalton's miraculous 4th and 12 touchdown pass Sunday that propelled the Bills in the postseason, the world has changed in sports and beyond. Here are some notable events that fell within the Bills' playoff drought that have lasted 17 years, 11 months, 23 days, 4 hours, and 7 minutes between those major events. So Facebook, created in 2004, YouTube in 2005, Twitter in 2006, and Instagram in 2010. Those were all started. The internet was young in 1999 when Bills fans would have communicated through AOL Instant Messenger. Now, for the first time in history, the words, quote, Buffalo Bills make the playoffs could be tweeted or posted on Facebook. The Cubs and Red Sox won the World Series. The Bills are one of 13 teams never to win a Super Bowl, and they are tied with the Minnesota Vikings as having the most appearances, which is 4, in the title game among teams never to win. Drought-snapping World Series wins by the Red Sox 2004 after 86 years and Cubs 2016 after 108 years are reasons for hope. 7 major sports teams have relocated. 3 NBA teams, Vancouver Grizzlies, Seattle Supersonics, and Charlotte Hornets. 2 NFL teams, St. Louis Rams and San Diego Chargers. 1 MLB team, the Montreal Expos, and 1 NHL team, the Atlanta Thrashers, have relocated since 1999. 5 major teams have been born. The NHL has gained 3 teams, the Columbus Blue Jackets and Minnesota Wild in 2000 and the Vegas Golden Knights in 2017. The Houston Texans joined the NFL in 2002, and Charlotte Bobcats, now the Hornets, in the NBA in 2004. Perfection and imperfection. The New England Patriots completed the NFL's first 16-0 season in 2007, and 2 teams, the Detroit Lions in 2008 and Cleveland Browns 2017, became the first to finish 0-16. Tiger Woods won 12 of his 14 majors. Woods turned 24 on December 30th, 1999, having only won the 1997 Masters and 1998 PGA Championship at the time. When he turned 42 last week, Woods ranked second all-time behind Jack Nicklaus with 14 major wins. LeBron James joined the Cavs, left for Miami, and then won Cleveland's first championship. One of the greatest basketball players of all time, James did not become a household name until he became the number 1 overall pick in 2003. Stacking championships. The Los Angeles Lakers have won 5 NBA titles, 2000, 2001, 2002, 2009, and 2010. The Patriots have won 5 NFL titles, 2001, 2003, 2004, 2014, and 2016. The Pittsburgh Penguins and Chicago Blackhawks have won 3 Stanley Cups each, and the Red Sox and San Francisco Giants have each won 3 World Series titles. Nick Saban has won 5 BCS or college football playoff titles, 1 with LSU and 4 with Alabama, and he will be competing for his 6th on Monday. Michael Phelps won all of his record 28 medals. The iconic swimmer won 8 medals in 2004, 8 in 2008, 6 in 2012, and 6 in 2016. His 28 medals are an Olympic record. All that shit happened, okay, while the Bills never made the playoffs. So what do you think about that?
Well, I remember that Music City Miracle game. I was at my friend Casey's house. I'll never forget that play. And, 1999 was, so long ago, almost 20 years ago. And that's a franchise that still has loyal fans and sold out games ever since. And, they needed some help this year to get in, but they're in, and now they have a shot. And, so it's good, for a first-year head coach to get there, first-year general manager to get there. So I'd be shocked if they beat Jacksonville, but hey, anything can happen in the NFL playoffs.
Detroit Lions head coach candidate Dossier, Patriots defensive coordinator Matt Patricia. He's a rocket scientist. He's rocket scientist smart and has the best relationship with GM Bob Quinn of any candidate for the Detroit job, but he better not clown around.
Hey, Patricia, like I told Andy the other night, whatever job he's offered, he's taking. There's no doubt about that. To run a team for the first time in his life, that's what all these coaches dream of doing, is becoming a head coach in the NFL. And I think McDaniels is more of a right-fright situation than taking another job. 2 completely different scenarios, but at one time McDaniels was the guy who any job he was offered he took, which happened in Denver, and that was unsuccessful. So I think wherever Patricia goes, it'll be interesting to follow him as a head coach and see what he likes to do. But he's definitely a very, very smart guy.
So Ryan Shazier has regained feeling in his legs. Bill Belichick is not going to let his team be late because of the snow. He doesn't think that's an acceptable excuse, just like our job. Jaguars con Lodge Coughlin. The credit is to him, he says. DeMarco Murray is out against the Chiefs. TV ratings for the NFL are down 9.7% during the 2017 season. And Leonard Fournette buys Rolexes for the Jaguars offensive lineman. So, everyone's been waiting for this. Now, an interesting thing happened last week when we went over the standings. I said that C.V. Gunn went 0-16. I couldn't find his picks. I don't know if there's a way to make them hidden so no one else can see comments or what, but I couldn't find his picks. He messaged me and said his picks were there. I went back to the video. I still couldn't find him. He finally, I clicked the button that said newest comments first, and sure enough, his picks were there. Not only that, he went 14-2 last week. So, last week I have some corrections to make. Number one, C.V. Gunn did go 14-2, so he was 162-78 at the time. He was 2 games ahead of Yes to Anything That Is Cool Awesome, and he was 4 games ahead of you at the time. And then last week I made a mistake. Lev Maker, you did go 11-5. So you were 150, or you were 150 and 92 at that point. Lev Maker, yeah, you were 149. You were 150 and 90. Excuse me, you were 150 and 90 at that point. 150 and 90. So now going into this week. So against the spread, I went 6-10. You went 10-6. And we ended up in a tie at 119, 127, and 10. Horrible. Big improvement, I think, for me. Horrific decline for you compared to last year. And then with the picks, you went 10-6, I went 9-7. So you finished at 168-90, and I finished at 157-99, 9 games out. I have no idea how I finished last year. I'd have to go look at the video. I don't know if it's an improvement or not. Now, how did everyone else do? Well, let's go to the main division. Actually, we'll go to the Peon division first, and we'll do that, and then we'll go to the main division. But Dennis Ramirez went 9-7 last week. Blake Rios went 8-8 last week, and together they tie for second at 112-83, 9 games behind. Jennifer Lynn, who went 11-5, and is the only one who won a gift card last week. Congratulations, Jennifer Lynn. You finished 123-72. And then in the major division, C.V. Gunn 10-6. Vadix 4-12, Yes to Anything That Is Cool Awesome 9-7, Dan McLean 9-7, Lev Maker 9-7, Cali Guy 5-11, and Steve Goldman 0-16. So, in first place and the winner of the regular season overall as well, we had C.V. Gunn at 172-84. Second place, we had Yes to Anything That Is Cool Awesome at 169-87. He was 3 games behind. Third place, we had Dan McLean at 193. He was 9 games behind. Fourth place, we had, wait a minute now. Fourth place, we had Lev Maker at 159-97. So he would have finished 13 games behind. Fifth place, we had Vadix at 144-112. So he finished 28 games behind. Sixth place, we had Cali Guy at 140-116. Big improvement for Cali Guy.
Huge.
He is now at what? 32 games behind. And then Steve Goldman finished 83-173. Worst record in the history of the show. And he finished, let's see.
Steve Goldman alive? Yeah. I hope he is.
I thought C.V. Gunn was friends with Steve Goldman. I don't know if he was or not. I think 99 games out. 84 plus 100 would be 184. No, 89 games out. 173 minus 84. Can we do the math here? 173 and 84. Let's see here. Calculator. 173 minus 84. 89 games out, yeah. So I was hoping he'd finish 100 games out. That would be fucking hilarious. But no. So, great job, Jennifer Lynn. You won a gift card. So, here's how it works. C.V. Gunn, congratulations on winning the regular season.
Congratulations.
C.V. Gunn, you have now entered into the finals with McLovin to win even more gift cards. It is you versus McLovin. If you guys want, you can still put in your picks for ha-has, but there's really no reason to. All the gift cards will be sent to you after the Super Bowl is over. I have a list of everybody right here. So let's go right into the scores here. Okay, let's do what we got to do here.
Yeah.
Scores. Let's go to the, what do you call it here? But me and you got to settle our spreads because we're tied. So yeah, we'll do it for the, yeah. So here we go. Saturday, January 6th, we have the Tennessee Titans, who finished 9-7, 3-5 on the road, against the Kansas City Chiefs, 10-6, 6-2 at home. No line.
Oh,
as of now.
I think it's 7.5.
Oh, Kansas City minus 7.5.
It's Kansas City minus 8.5.
Ooh, all right. Go ahead. Who are you picking?
I am taking Tennessee plus 8.5.
Really?
Yeah.
It's going to be Tennessee is an okay defense, right? I have to take Kansas City minus 8.5. Mariota sucks. The offense is without DeMarco Murray. I don't see them scoring. I see this being a 20-10 game. All right, next game, 8:15 at night. We have the Atlanta Falcons, 10-6, 5-3 on the road against the Los Angeles Rams, 11-5, 4-4 at home. Rams are favored by 6.
I'm taking the Falcons plus 6.
Okay, I'm going to take the Rams minus 6. All right, and then Sunday, January 7th at 1:05 p.m., we have the Buffalo Bills, 9-7, 3-5 on the road, going up against Jacksonville, 10-6, 6-2 at home. No spread. What do you got?
Bills plus 9. So I'm taking the Bills plus 9.
Yeah, I think I'm going to agree with that one. And then the 4:40 game, we have the Carolina Panthers, 11-5, 5-3 on the road, going up against the New Orleans Saints, 11-5, 7-1 at home. No spread. What do you have there for
Carolina is plus 7.
Okay, I'm taking the Saints minus 7.
I'm taking the Panthers plus 7.
Ooh, all right, so this could settle it once and for all here this week.
We're doing the whole.
We're doing the whole thing, sure, but this is, this could be it's 3 games.
Yeah.
One we agree on, the other 3 we'll see what the hell happens here. So you have I put this in the wrong spot. I have New Orleans minus 7. You have Carolina plus 7, correct?
I have Carolina plus 7.
Yeah, and then I put these in the wrong spots. Rams minus 6. You have Atlanta plus 6, and then you took Tennessee, correct?
I took Tennessee.
Yeah. Minus 8, plus 8.5. Yeah, I got it. Yeah, I just put them in the wrong areas. All right, so that's easy enough. And that's it. So CV Gunn, here's
picks for the games.
Yeah, we'll do picks for the games, but you have a 9-game lead. You have
for CV
for CV Gunn. Yeah. So this is how it's going to work. CV Gunn, congratulations. You have won a massive gift card to a store of your choice. Again, tell me. You can tell me what store you want it to, or if you want a combination of them. And we will send that out to you again after the Super Bowl. But now for the ultimate prize, just to beat McLovin. Did Thomas ever Patrick Brady Jr. end up beating you? It came down to the score, correct, of the Super Bowl. It was tied the whole way through, right? Last year,
I believe so.
Yeah, I think he ended up winning based on the score of the game. That's how close it was. But let's see if he can beat McLovin overall. You have a 2-game lead over him. What is he? He finished 168.90. You are 160. You are 172.84. You have a 4-game lead over him. Yeah, 4 games. So who are you picking? Who are you picking for the games here? We got Tennessee, Kansas City. All right, so you're picking Kansas City.
Yep.
Yep.
Atlanta.
Okay.
Jacksonville.
Yep.
And New Orleans.
All right, those are the picks, guys. Thanks for all year. Thanks for watching. Appreciate the views. Appreciate it. We got some newcomers like Dan McLean and Jennifer Lynn and Blake Rios and Dennis Ramirez, and so that was nice. Cali guy improved. Yes, to anything that is cool, awesome. You had a chance to win it towards the end there, but CV Gunn came through. And then Dan McLean, you had a chance to you were ahead of everyone, real for a while, and then why through 2 bad weeks in a row did you in. But guys, thanks for watching. Stay tuned for more sports content maybe throughout the year. Maybe we'll do a couple shows a month on the
Well, we're
wide
still
world of
gonna do
sports.
This show.
Well, we're still going to do this show
Yeah.
throughout the NFL
I would like
season.
to do the sports show at least once a week.
Yeah, well,
You know,
we'll
we
see.
tried to do that, and that never happened. So.
It never happens, is right.
No.
Yeah, but anyway, we'll see what happens, and you know, this. If you're gonna drink a beer out there, one beer you got to drink is that Michelob Ultra.
Yeah.
Because if you don't drink that Michelob Ultra, and if you're not throwing your loafers at the TV, then you
Yeah.
must not be watching Providence Friar
Sure.
basketball.
Yep.
With what's his face made the front cover of ESPN with his 52 points. The guy from Marquette.
Oh, Marcus
Morris or something.
Marcus Howard.
Howard, yeah, Marcus Howard, 52.
Unbelievable.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
That's what happens when you
Yeah.
blow the game.
Sure.
All right, guys, thanks for watching.
All right. See ya.